Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I am here now. Ciao. We'll begin with a guided meditation real quick because best way to start. Hi, Intrepid. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for subbing. Thank you. So let's all meditate together and find a comfortable sitting or laying position. If you're laying already, just relax. Or if you want to sit, you can sit. Preferably sit because the guided meditation will be for sitting, but you can still lay down if you want. So let's just find this comfortable seated position, and I never really go into depth with like the sitting, but you wanna not curve your back. So like I'm gonna do it wrong and then I'm gonna do it right. So this is like not optimal. You see how my back kind of like curves? It doesn't really curve that much, but what you want is to like have a little bit of a like for it to like go in a bit so that it helps. Curvature of the spine helps with like carrying that weight a little better. So if you want to like find that curvature in the lower spine, and then the shoulders now, for the upper back, what I do to get the right posture for meditation is I sort of tuck my chin in, like I kind of like lower my head a bit, because we want to avoid pinching the cervical spine columns. we don't want, see, let me try to do it. We don't want this, like you see how it's pinched. We want a straight, like you want to feel all the bones here. You want to feel them, and you want them to be like straight and not like some of them more in than the others. So you want this right here, very like a straight cervical, and the shoulders, you don't want to like lean forward to enclose your chest too much. You kind of want to like open your chest a bit, have the cervical bones right there in alignment, lower back with a little bit of curvature for this meditation. So we got the spine should, like, you see the pictures of the spinal column, how it like flows smoothly like an S. You want to achieve that in your back. You don't want it to be the cervical like this and then your back like that and then like curved out. You want to achieve the nice like spine. So that's sort of what I do. I never go into depth, but I just thought today I will. So once we are in perfect posture, you will find that when you're in this perfect posture, you can relax all of your muscles and you magically stay upright. So once we're in alignment, think of your spine as a straight rod and all the muscles hanging off of it like noodles. Whoa. That's a cool way to say it. Once we're in this alignment, we can relax our muscles, and the breathing will happen not from our lungs, it will happen from our belly. Have a safe time out there. Love you. So we've relaxed all the muscles, so now we're going to squeeze our abdomen to exhale and like squeeze all the air out, and then relax the abdomen, let it grow to inhale, and then squeeze to exhale. Relax the abdomen and let the belly like grow out to inhale. and exhale by squeezing the abdomen. So this is like the belly breathing that they talk about in meditation. That's like that's what you do. You relax and expand the belly, and you squeeze and contract to exhale. Poop, thank you so much, Gemini. I'm a Gemini too. Okay, so now that we're in aligned posture, relaxed muscles, breathing from our belly, we are going to begin focusing on the middle center of our forehead. And the reason why we do this is so that when our eyes are literally like looking in that area, it leads to an alignment of, or a balancing. Feel for people, children that are unable to follow these practices of mindfulness because their families are so narrow-minded and like dogmatic religious that they close themselves off to all the wisdom and all the healing that can come from mindfulness and meditation, and there's people still out there, religious people that still label all of spirituality as demonic or not of God, and it's just still crazy for me. So I feel for the children that that are unable to have the liberty to choose to follow these practices because their parents judge them for it. So back to the spine and the relaxed muscles and the belly breathing, focusing on the third eye to bring balance to the whole body. You will feel it. In psychology, they say that when you look towards the left or the right when you're speaking to someone, it's because if you look to the right, you're looking for creativity or inspiration to say what you're saying, but if you look to the left, or it's the other way around, if you look to the left, you're looking for that. If you're looking to the right, you're looking for recalling like a specific memory. So if you look to the center, you're at the center. And the center is where we want to be. Also at the center is our pineal gland, which is the third eye. It has like rods and cones, and it receives light and can see it, and also it produces melatonin, serotonin, and they call it the seat of the soul because I guess that's where the soul resides in. So also, while keeping attention on our third eye, I want to keep attention on our heart and just be aware and mindful of the beating. So our eyes are looking up here and our awareness is in our heart. This is the most like detailed guided meditation I've given. It's not so much that it's guided right now, but I'm just kind of like leading into the meditation by really describing everything that I do when I meditate. So eyes looking up here, awareness down here, feeling the heartbeat, breathing from the belly. You may start feeling pressure in your eyes from looking here. This is good. Now you place the tongue at the roof of the mouth. It's almost like you swallow saliva and you press the tongue up and you leave it there. And you breathe through the nose. And you will hear your breath, like at the back of your throat. Eyes are still looking up here, awareness of the chest, the heart. Belly breathing. And now let's do a mental body check. Let's check in with our feet. Let's make sure they're relaxed. Check in with our legs. Make sure they're completely relaxed. Check in with your arms. Relax them as well. Relax your shoulders. Continue feeling your heartbeat. Each breath gets more and more elongated, deeper. To also start this week, now that we've come to center, with some quotes from this book that we were reading the other day. This is good. Act as if you were already happy, and that will tend to make you happy. Action seems to follow feeling, but really action and feeling go together. And by regulating the action, which is under the more direct control of the will, we can indirectly regulate the feeling. Thus, the sovereign path to cheerfulness, if our cheerfulness is lost, is to sit up cheerfully and act and speak as if cheerfulness were already there. Oh, it's clapping. It's not moving for me. Everybody in the world is seeking happiness, and there is one sure way to find it: by controlling your thoughts. Happiness does not depend on outer conditions, it depends on inner conditions. See, you would never expect such deep wisdom that's ingrained in all spirituality in a book about how to win friends and influence people. But there it is. It's a truth that is known by many successful people around the world. There is nothing good of bad, but thinking makes it so. That's such a cool little quote. There is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Whenever you go outdoors, draw the chin in. See, this is what I'm talking about in meditation. You kind of draw the chin in so that your cervical bones are not pinched. Like, you know, you like, it's almost like you lift your nape. You lift this up and out instead of pinching it, you lift it, you know? You draw the chin in. So, okay. Draw the chin in. Carry the crown of the head high. Oh, I love this. I love these quotes. Carry the crown of the head high and fill the lungs to the utmost. This is like meditation. Everything's a meditation. Anyway, drink in the sunshine. Greet your friends with a smile and put your soul in every handshake. Do not fear being misunderstood, and do not waste a minute thinking about your enemies. Try to fix firmly in your mind that what you would like to do, and then, without veering off direction, you will move straight to the goal. Keep your mind on the great and splendid things you would like to do,
And as the days go gliding away, you will find yourself unconsciously seizing upon the opportunities required for the fulfillment of your desire. Picture in your mind the earnest, useful person you desire to be, and the thought you hold will transform you hour by hour into that. So, picture in your mind the earnest, useful person you desire to be, and the thought you hold will transform you hour by hour into that particular individual. Thought is supreme. Preserve a right mental attitude, the attitude of courage, frankness, and good cheer. To think rightly is to create. All things come from thought, desire, and every sincere prayer is answered. We become that on which our hearts are fixed. Yes, so to think rightly is to create. All things come through desire, and every sincere prayer is answered. We become that on which our hearts are fixed. A smile costs nothing but creates much. It enriches those who receive it without impoverishing those who give it. It happens in a flash, and the memory of it sometimes lasts forever. None are so rich they can get along without it, and none so poor but are richer for its benefits. It creates happiness in the home, fosters goodwill in a business, and is the sign of a friend. It is rest to the weary, daylight to the discouraged, sunshine to the sad, and nature's best antidote for trouble. Yet it cannot be bought, begged, borrowed, or stolen, for it is something that is no earthly good to anybody till it is given away. And if in the last minute rush of Christmas buying some of our salespeople should be too tired to give you a smile, may we ask you to leave one of yours, for nobody needs a smile so much as those who have none left to give. Just a quick quote here. But he knew how to handle people, and that is what made him as rich as Midas. This is out of context, so I'm just going to read the quote that I highlighted. Early in life, he showed a flair for organization, a genius for leadership. By the time he was 10, he too had discovered the astounding importance that people place on their own name. He used this discovery to win cooperation. So this is talking about like the importance of calling people by their name, remembering their name, and using their name in conversation to spark that interest within them. People like to hear their own name. Oh, I like this quote right here. It says, for many centuries, nobles and magnates, I don't know how to read this word in English, magnates, so like really rich people, supported artists, musicians, and authors so that their creative works would be dedicated to them. Libraries and museums owe their richest collections to the people who cannot bear to think that their names would perish from the memory of the human race. Very beautiful. Nearly every church is beautified by stained glass windows commemorating the names of their donors. Many of the buildings on the campuses of most universities bear the names of donors who contributed large sums of money for the honor. Which is become genuinely interested in other people. Smile. Remember a person's name. Be a good listener. Encourage people to talk about themselves. Talk in terms of the other person's interests and make the other person feel important. Oh, and we talked about how if you're having like a confrontation with someone or an argument, the first thing to do is to make the other person feel important first, because remember that you can measure the size of a person by what makes him or her angry. So control your temper, be the bigger person. Oh, okay, so make the other person feel important, make them feel heard, and then make them feel look for areas of agreement first, not what you don't agree with. First, focus on what you do agree with the other person. Once you've agreed with them on several of their points, be honest about your own faults, because that's what they want to hear eventually. They want to hear you, like, say that, you know what, I was wrong on this. Like, just find one or two things to say, you know what, I was wrong on one or two things. And then to promise to think over your opponent's ideas, and then to thank them for having the interest of even having this disagreement with you. It says, if you know you're going to be rebuked, sorry, my pronunciation, rebuked anyhow, isn't it far better to beat the other person to it and do it yourself? Isn't it much easier to listen to self-criticism than to bear condemnation from alien lips? Say about yourself all the derogatory things you know the other person is thinking or wants to say or intends to say, and say them before the other person has a chance to say them. The chances are 100 to 1 that a generous, forgiving attitude will be taken and your mistakes will be minimized, just as the mounted policeman did with me and Rex. So before that, he had like said a story about how he was walking his dog without a leash somewhere, and they had already told him previously that he was supposed to have it on a leash. And so when the officer, like when he saw the officer, instead of letting the officer tell him, hey, like, you're supposed to have your dog on a leash, you're gonna be cited for this, he right up went to the officer and said, you caught me red-handed, I'm guilty, I have no excuses, you warned me last week that if I brought my dog out here without a leash, you would fine me. So the cop then was like, well, you know what, like, it's all right, instead of, giving him the fine like he did, because he beat him to the rebuke. So I'm gonna read that quote again. If we know we're going to be rebuked anyhow, isn't it far better to beat the person to it and do it ourselves? Isn't it much easier to listen to self-criticism than to bear condemnation from alien lips? Say about yourself all the derogatory things you know the other person is thinking or wants to say or intends to say, and say them before the other person has a chance to say them. The chances are 100 to 1 that a generous, forgiving attitude will be taken and your mistakes will be minimized. Any fool can try to defend his or her mistakes, and most fools do, but it raises one above the herd and gives one a feeling of nobility and exultation to admit them first. Admitting fault is never easy, but it is the most difficult when we face the people who are most important to us, those we love. The inability to admit mistakes has destroyed marriages and sundered family ties since the days of the pharaohs. Overcoming pride is a struggle most of us have experienced, but imagine how much harder it would be if you also had to challenge truths you had always believed in. So it's just so important to humble yourself, admit your own mistakes, and don't try to defend your mistakes or yourself. Just admit them, right? There's a certain degree of satisfaction in having the courage to admit one's errors. Not only it clears the air of guilt and defensiveness, but often helps to solve the problem created by the error. I think a lot of us, we want to become defensive when we make a mistake. A lot of our first initial reactions is to be defensive, because when we excuse ourselves, we deal with this feeling of like not being good enough, or when you make a mistake, you can deal with feelings of not being worthy, not being good enough, all these like derogatory feelings. So we want to kind of self-soothe ourselves by telling ourselves what we wish we could hear from the other person, which is like an excuse, like being excused for our mistakes, or defending ourselves, I guess, because this is what we feel like we need, right, at that moment. And to accept your own mistake, it can be really difficult, just because it's almost like admitting that you were not good enough, and that's kind of harsh, right? But it's not like that. Everybody makes mistakes, and when you admit them right away, also your mind opens up to solutions magically. If you defend your own mistakes, it's harder to think of the solution, because you're saying how you had no control over the mistake in one way or another, how it wasn't your fault, right? But if you admit it, it was my fault, it was my mistake, your mind goes into, how was it my mistake? Oh, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. So that leads you to be more solution oriented. So when you admit your mistakes for anything, you become more solution oriented. And also when you admit them to the other person doesn't feel the need to kind of like be so harsh anymore, because they see that you understand. Okay. It is of the greatest importance that a person be started in the affirmative direction. When a person says yes, none of the withdrawal activities take place. I think I skipped the part where what happens when a person says no. The psychological pattern when a person says no, the entire organism, glandular, nervous, and muscular systems gather into the condition of rejection. So when a person says no, the whole neuromuscular system guards itself against acceptance. But when a person says yes, none of the withdrawal activities take place, and the organism is in a forward-moving, accepting, open attitude. Hence, the more times we can induce yes from the other person, the more likely we are to succeed in capturing the attention for the ultimate proposal. So I guess if you're trying to like kind of influence someone into a certain direction that you want to like guide them towards, get them saying yes. Ask them like questions that you know they will answer yes to, because see, this is just showing us that whatever we say verbally, we feel it in the whole body. If we speak positively, like I am healing, I am patient, the body feels good. But if we spiral down, say we're feeling sick, and we spiral down into the negativity of being like cussing and like fuck shit, like I feel so sick, and you just speak negatively, you just go down a spiral of more negativity, and you don't heal as fast as if you're like, I'm healing, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and I'm patient, and you say all these good things. Your body immediately becomes less acidic, more soft, and your heart becomes more open. And so words are so important, and this book is saying it, how if you're trying to convince someone of something, get them saying yes, because just the mere act of saying the word yes or no changes the whole physiological reaction. If you get the person saying no, their whole body like rejects, goes into this like withdrawal, like the whole neuromuscular system goes into this like rejection mode, and it's hard to take them out of there. Once they're there, they kind of tend to stay there. So you want to get them saying yes, want them open, you want them accepting, you want them in this like state of mind that's like absorbing. Okay, that's it for today. See you all, Lord Maggie. See you, Oi. See you all tomorrow. Eigen Tourist. See you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, start of the week. I love y'all so much. Thank you, Jade. Thank you. Thank you. I gotta go now. I love y'all so much. Goodbye. Goodbye, Bowser. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good day, all.